G'day folks. That's a tough act to follow. Thanks Nick. My name is, for those that have trouble reading, Steve Joll. I don't have much of an introduction either. Martin asked me to do this a couple of weeks ago, and I understand a lot of people were asked several months ago, which means someone dropped out. Thanks Marty, feel special. And I said to him, Martin, what shall I talk about? He said, just talk about yourself. And I said, okay, well I'm in broadcasting, so luckily that's my favourite subject. So, Fabio, if you would. I don't have access to Weta Digital. I did have a whole lot of plans for some fantastic graphics that I was going to put up during my presentation. That didn't pan out. So I asked my 4-year-old son Theo if I could use his drawing pad. He was Spider-Man at the time, so he was being difficult. And he asked me, why? And I had to explain to him what I wanted to do. So the drawing pad is the basis for a lot of the graphics. This is me. Hi. So my name's Steve Joll. I work at the Breeze radio station. I'm a breakfast radio host at the Breeze. So I start early and I'm uniquely qualified to tell you that tonight, 5-6 degrees, tomorrow cloudy, showers, highs to 13. And after the break, another great song from the Eagles. This is my family. This is drawn to scale, obviously. My beautiful French wife is here this evening, so I've been told to be nice about her. Our son has an outlandishly large head, and we have twin daughters who are 19 months old, but I'm sure they're identical girls. When they're in their teens, they're going to be the death of me. A word, though, if I may, about the French. Since my wife is here and she is French, they don't have a word for what I'm about to talk about, which is amazing because it's the food capital of the world. They have a word for pastry person, they have a word for bread person, they don't have a word for baking. Which is what because I'm not here to talk about my radio, the Breeze 94 and 98.5 FM. I'm here to talk about my hobby, which turned into a website, which turned into a book, which sold moderately well, but if you do want a copy, my mum has plenty. Also, no beard in that shot. I grew a beard because Martin Bosley told me it makes you more attractive to women. Baking and beards. Apparently this is the secret. So anyway, all about baking tonight. There are two kinds of people who bake. You'll see there's the non-blokes, most of whom are women, and then there's the blokes, which, this is a pie chart. See what I did there? Alright, thank you. The fact that the blokes only make up a tiny number of the people baking at home, I'm talking about, not the professionals. The at-home bakers leads to a lot of mockery, not mookery, mockery. Before I tell people I bake, 4 out of 5 days, moderate, mostly the glasses and my absent-mindedness. After I tell people I bake, you'll see in this graph, it goes way up. 4 out of 5 days, mocked mercilessly about the fact that I bake. I am a bloke who likes to whip out a batch of angel cakes. Now, if I can demonstrate it in a graph, the first and best example of this is on the radio interviewed a chap named Lenny Henry, who played chef on television. So in the process of interviewing, I was new to baking, I said to Lenny, I'm a baker, me. You must appreciate that. And you know what Lenny did, if I can, as I say, illustrate it as a graph? He laughed his ass off at me. He describes himself as a big black man, and he's very tall, is Lenny, way taller than me, as you can see. And he was wearing a funny hat, so I put that in. So he laughed at me and said, why don't you go out and get a pink penny, you poof? Not very politically correct, on the Breeze. So I tried to butch it up a bit. So this is actually what I get out when I like to do my baking. So I've got my tool belt with the whisk and the bits and pieces. I've got power tools. I've just recently got myself a big mixing bowl. 900 horses, thank you. Not really, I don't even know what that means. In the process of baking, and this is what I wanted to get to, I've learned a lot. Now, when I drew this on the tiny pad, this was a joke about how small my brain is. Blown up, it makes me look like a bit of a conceited ass. Not actual size. Point is, a lot of baking information going into my brain. I've learned an awful lot, and this is what I wanted to talk about. The first thing is, baking, like everything in life, if you want to do it well, takes time. If you want to do it properly, you have to mix, and you have to fold, and you have to cream the butter and the sugar, and then you have to wait for it to turn out. It takes time, but that's okay. I don't mind spending the time baking and doing it properly, because in our lives, as you'll see, this is not a pie chart, this is a donut chart. We have a lot of things going on in life, stress and work and kids and all the noise of our everyday lives. And in the middle there, for me, is baking. the oasis of baking. And I know that sounds weird, but for me, when I get home and stand in the kitchen and do the baking, for me that is my relax. That is how I just forget about the rest of the world and I don't have to listen to anything and I just bake and it's nice. The other thing, very important lesson number 2 is you get a lot of kudos from baking, especially if you make it from scratch. Martin Bosley, don't listen. If you don't make it from scratch, you still get kudos, and the people who know you didn't make it from scratch don't mix with the people you actually know. The people who know are Martin Bosley and 2 of his very good friends, and they're not coming to your house. Well, it doesn't come to mine. Now, very important lesson number 3 or 4, I forget. The mocking stops at this point here, and after that you get adulation. The point is where you share the food you've baked with the people you know. If I can demonstrate it most accurately, when I went to a poker night very early on in my baking career and we were all talking about the poker and a couple of the boys said, I'll bring pizza, I'll bring beer, and I said, I will bring cheese and bacon mini muffins. And they laughed until they ate them and then they wanted more. So, that was a very important lesson number 3 or 4. Baking, to me, based on that and based on a lot of experience, is all about sharing. I love to do it, and at the end of doing it, you get the result, which is the product, and then you share it with your friends and your family and your colleagues at work, and they love you for it. So me, baking is all about sharing what you've made with people you love. Sharing is all about love. If you'll allow me to keep going and extrapolating this mathematical equation. Sharing is what you do when you love the folks around you. You share with them, you share of yourself. For me, I share the mini muffins and the angel cakes. And if we can take it out one step further, love is the basis of life. So, if I can jump from the beginning to the end of this, ladies and gentlemen, baking is life. Thanks. We call that premature applause. I'm finished. I just wanted to have my son, because he was pestering me to be a part of it. So, on behalf of Theo with the enormously large head and myself, thank you very much.